So, DMX passed away earlier this year, and the album that we're gonna review today is gonna be his last. He's got a storied career, including many absolute bangers and some less successful releases. His career started in the early '90s. He's had a connection to most of the big names in the game from then till now. It's been associated with Def Jam, Murder Inc., Swizz Beatz, Rough Riders. But today we're going to take a look at Exodus by DMX. Damn. I was like, he's brought the production value up here, but no.
What?
God damn.
What? How dare you? Okay. Australia's worse off on the world stage by the fact this guy is on the Spotify charts, I tell you. It was going so well. I had such high hopes for you.
I'm going to pass over to Dennis. You're an engineer.
I felt the spirit. I wouldn't be surprised if I got this off someone off the street selling their CD for like £5. How do I stop it?
This is crazy.
So, we are the Record Players. I'm Jack, joined by Hattie and Dennis. Today we're going to be looking at Exodus by DMX. If you like what we're saying, give the video a like, subscribe for some more content. If you hate what we're saying, come and argue with us in the comments. It's always good to get a good discussion going. So, Exodus is DMX's 8th studio album. It was a posthumous release because, unfortunately, he did pass away earlier in the year this year. That's led to quite a few interesting talking points in the kind of development of the album. So, Hattie, what was your general reaction when you were hearing this for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, I casually like the odd song here or two, but I wouldn't say I was a DMX fan. So, I went in with an open mind. Overall, this album actually left a lot to be desired for me. I found there were a lot of individual elements that I liked, but the sum and the crafting of the whole thing just didn't hit in most places. It did feel like a posthumous album, and what I mean by that is it felt like Swizz Beatz, who was like the overseer, right? He had tracks or stems from X to work with, but they weren't necessarily finished. I found in a lot of places there were issues I had with the mixing. There were some of the features didn't fit together with him, and it really sounded like it was hobbled together. I mean, I don't want to be so critical with it, but
just launching in with the fire already.
I guess I just did. There were stuff that I liked on here, but we talked before about albums sounding cohesive, albums sounding like they've had a lot of thought put into them, and that being something I value high, at least when we critique something. And unfortunately, I didn't get this here, but I think part of that is out of their control, given the circumstance.
Dennis, what was your initial reaction then?
Yeah, very much the same thing. I mean, the first thing that I noticed was there's very few tracks where DMX is the first person with the first verse. Even on like songs where you've got someone who's typically a singer like Alicia Keys or Bono, you've still got them. It's like he's front loading, like him and Swizz Beatz are front loading the features as if to say, hey, look, we've got these features and DMX, which is why, I was surprised that this was recorded before he died.
Well, that's the thing. I want to know how far in they got, because it feels like there's not a full album's worth of content from DMX, and I wonder if they've brought in more features or had people come back to fill more space in the track, because they've got like decent song length for rap tracks. There's a few that are pushing 4 or 5 minutes, but like most of them comfortably between 3 to 4. So
well, you can tell because he only does a couple of hooks, like you said. The majority of hooks are provided by other people or Swizz or whoever, and then you're right, he doesn't stray outside of having one verse. Again, like you mentioned, Dennis, weirdly, usually kind of on the back end.
And typically as well, that's something that you like. DMX has got the voice and the gravitas for hooks. That's a fucking cornerstone of listening to DMX. But it's also in the recording process, that's something that you'd put towards the end, is those little those catchy bits, because you'd spit the verse, and then if something stands out from that can become the hook. So unless the song was written to have the hook first, that's something you might do at the end. That's something that they may have not had time to get really stuck into this time around.
But that's what I mean, because like you say, they had an album's worth of material, or technically it was, finished before he passed. But there is that element in which, you're putting everything together and you're like, oh, now we need to redo that. We really need to redo that and perfect it. The recording process isn't necessarily linear. You're going back in yourself, and unfortunately in this situation, you're not able to do that, and you kind of have to work with what you're given. And that really shows up on a lot of the tracks.
So let's get into some positive things before we get too far into critiquing their process. Dennis, what were some kind of standout moments for you listening to this?
Well, DMX has always been one of the hardest rappers in the game. You go to DMX for the coldest lines, and just because of the type of guy that he is, he's a hood thug, basically, like
a rough rider.
Basically, yeah, like he like Tupac. Tupac was like a character. Like he himself was raised on a hippie commune. His parents were very well educated. He wasn't this character that was portrayed in the media. But he created this character as a sort of as a way to like speak to those types of people. But DMX lived
the real deal.
He was the real life version of the guy that Tupac was playing.
What you see is what you get type thing.
Yeah. He used to rob people. Like there are some cold-blooded lines on some of these tracks. Like on Take Control, he's like, "Cats that play in the street get run over. I'ma make you hand over everything you got." He's just straight up criminal, fucking just saying, "I'm going to rob you." And on his Wikipedia, apparently it says that when he was in high school, he used to rob 3 people a day. That's some cold-blooded shit.
Just
there's the skit, right? There's this. Is it the skit on this album where he's about
stick up?
Yeah, it's like, oh, this man's making millions and he's still robbing people.
Yeah, right. Crazy, but I would say the crowning glory of the album is Hood Blues with Griselda, because I think that combination of Griselda's sounds and DMX's sound, even throughout the track, you've just got like Griselda's going and shit, and then fucking DMX going.
Oh yeah, the most it's a match made in heaven, like ad lib heavy on all fronts, which is obviously DMX's shtick. It blended so well, and that like cinematic beat, I agree, that was a highlight.
Yeah.
Okay. But I want to say one thing positive that leads on from that. I think the stand-up thing for me is that this is more about DMX in general, but I'll see if you guys agree that, like, he's not necessarily the most like technical rapper, but you've got people that are, bar rappers. You got Jay-Z and Nas, like I said, you got Griselda, but DMX always holds his own, even if he's not being super lyrical. Just his energy, his delivery on the harder tracks. His ad libs, it all adds to the mystique. So it doesn't matter if his rhyme scheme is similar. There's never a track from like DMX got washed on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's actually because the thing that I was going to draw out as a positive is you're saying now, like even he's known for giving the hard tracks and all this sort of stuff. But the thing that stuck with me on my first listen from this was the Alicia Keys track, because it's like I was expecting him to be super out of his depth and like just kind of lost in that, but I feel like he actually delivered a fairly like decent track, considering how far removed from his usual style it was. I'm guessing, Hattie, you don't agree from your reaction to that.
Yeah, no, not at all. Like the tracks that were on a more mellow side, that track and the following track, Skyscrapers, was the low point of the album, and it was because of those
was terrible. It's
because
like,
of those disparate elements.
It was also like when the hook of a rap track doesn't make sense, That really throws me off, and I don't like Bono anyway.
Yeah.
And for the first time I listened to it, I was like, oh, who is this woman? I've never heard her sing before. And then I looked at the features and I was like, oh shit, it's Bono.
Skyscrapers is, I mean, you know, we've done a couple of Spotify reviews, and Skyscrapers is one of the worst tracks I've heard all year. I hated that track. I hated that track with a passion.
If you can't make a bottom 10 that doesn't include Hold Me Down from the tracks that you've heard this year, you're actually mental.
No, I'm not saying Skyscrapers is. I'm not saying Hold Me Down is one of the worst. Skyscrapers is by far in its own category. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, Hold Me Down. I was like, on Skyscrapers, I genuinely hated.
I think if I heard Hold Me Down in isolation, I wouldn't be like, you know, and nobody told me it was DMX, I wouldn't be like picking it out. But the fact that he is DMX, and like, you know, you expect him to be like stuck in this, literally like the, you know, like, I'm gonna rob you, I've grown up around guns, here's all my money, here's all my dogs, like you expect that sort of thing. The fact he had that other depth was kind of good to me, which also kind of leads me to the next thing I want to talk about, which is the very heavy kind of religious involvement on this album. So it's not like it's not on every track, it's not Kanye levels, although I will say, if Kanye had his religious epiphanies at the same time as DMX was making Prayer, that would be the best track of 2021.
Do you know Kanye's credited as a producer on Prayer?
No.
Really? Yeah, because I saw the
I would be so let
list.
down if that's true.
Exactly. I saw the production list. I was like, oh, a Kanye beat on the closer. I'm hyped, and I got to it, and it's just him, you know, doing an acapella, or there's a little like atonal one in the background. I was like, what the fuck is this?
I've got that it was produced by
Kanye beat.
I've got that it was produced by Damon Grease, which is someone that he has worked with before.
I was just going off Wikipedia. Anyway, the point is, there's like no music on that last track. So it kind of doesn't matter having Kanye's name tied to that. What, just because it's a religious song?
Yeah, Kanye's name he is credited as a writer as well, as a writer and as a producer. But it is straight up a prayer. I didn't even think that needed a producer. It sounded like they recorded it at a live, like he just stopped a show.
Well, you know, like vocal production. Also, I say if it wasn't recorded live, then you'd need that extra element, because then you're getting into like some music concrete, like recreate sound walks sort of shit.
Well, there was the crowd on that last track, wasn't it? So either it was real or simulated to have that effect.
Could have been Foley. Yeah.
But again, I went to that track super let down because I had Kanye's name associated with it, so I was hoping something really good.
I'm glad I
didn't. Yeah,
I'm glad I didn't. I would have had the same reaction as you if I had. But yeah, no, I thought it was interesting. I thought that track and Letter to My Son, and to some extent Walking in the Rain, but like less so. So like just the end of the album basically was super fucking emotional. I feel like if I'd had a whole album of that stuff, like obviously like I don't know the story behind his passing and like how foreseen it was, or if it was just immediate and like they had no warning at all or whatever, because I know he was in hospital for a little bit before. I wasn't sure like what he could manage to do in terms of business when he was there, or if it was just focusing on trying to get better. But I feel like that was an utter gut punch as well, with the lyrics about it's not too late to talk to your dad in Letter to Your Son, knowing that he's now died. That was an absolute like gut-wrenching track for me to listen to. And then Prayer that followed it after. So it's almost to me like there's at least two sides to this album, maybe three. I don't know how you guys feel about that kind of description, but I can quite clearly box this album into stuff that I like, stuff I really like, stuff I don't like, and stuff that I see purpose of. So let's move now to some things that you thought didn't quite hit the mark, things that you were either let down by or things that you could have improved with. Let's go Dennis first, I guess.
I would say the tail end of the album didn't do much for me. So from Walking in the Rain through till the end.
You didn't like Walking in the Rain?
Wow.
Not so much.
That was one of the highlights. Just gotta say.
I don't know. It felt a bit forced. I mean, it was great to hear Nas coming back again on the second track.
Yeah, Nas killed it.
That was much. I liked Nas on the track with Jay-Z, but there were problems with that track that I can go into. But Walking in the Rain, I thought was perfect. Dude, the beat sounded like some 80 Aliens Outcast shit, and then Nas and DMX killed that. The guy on the hook sounded like fucking D'Angelo. I was like, yes, this is made for me.
I've got 90s R&B D'Angelo, less janky as my notes for it. Yeah. It's it's like D'Angelo if Questlove stayed on the beat.
Yeah.
Dude, that track was fire, Dennis. What are you talking about?
I don't know. It followed Take Control, and for me, Take Control was pretty good. It was great to hear Snoop Dogg doing his fucking pimp shit again.
Snoop, that sounded like gone.
From the amount that I've heard Snoop in my life, and he's like probably. I mean, like it's like Blink-182, my favorite band, because I've listened to them so much as a teenager. This is not anymore, but Snoop is probably my favorite rapper just because of how much I listened to him as a teenager, even though I don't really anymore now. I knew within like 2 seconds of that beat starting, I was like, oh shit, did he get a Snoop feature? And then I checked the list, I was like, yeah, motherfucker, he did. I knew, like, I felt it in my bones as soon as that started. I was like, God, Snoop's coming.
Yes, Snoop was on Take Control. Snoop sounded.
He was good, man.
He sounded like a younger version of himself.
Yeah.
I got the vibe with the production. It sounded like some of the stuff he used to make with Pharrell.
Yeah,
you know, it had almost like a Let's Get
weird,
Blown
like,
type vibe.
Existential reggae shit.
Yeah. You're right. That beat was like made for him. Is the perfect feature to get him on that, and he did his thing. The other track I thought was similar, where the rapper was really kind of sounded like their old self, was Wayne on Dogs Out.
Yeah.
I thought he killed that.
Yeah, agreed.
Because normally these days when he comes on, he's just doing his singing shit, but he actually came in with some bars. And
I was surprised because I'm not a massive fan of Lil Wayne, but he was he was good on there. I can't slate it.
My problem with Walking in the Rain, sorry to interrupt you there.
No, go on.
But my problem with Walking in the Rain is that the first half of the album for me hit so hard that there's quite a few tracks at the beginning of the album that, as you said, Jack, I can put into the I really enjoyed this, whereas towards the tail end of the album is, you know, more like I'm not going to revisit this. And I guess Walking in the Rain just gets put into that pot because after Take Control, I kind of switch off, you know.
Right, it's the emotional, like the sentimental part of the album, but in terms of listenability, might not necessarily be there unless you're personally tied to DMX's story.
Yeah,
you know, I would guess, because I kind of felt the same. Like I like that track, but you know, even when we were talking about Letter to My Son, I appreciate the sentiment of it, but it didn't do much for me, in all honesty.
Oh, that shit was gut wrenching, man. It's literally like it wasn't so bad until the line about talking to your dad, and it kept coming back. That got me. Sorry, Dennis, I interrupted you again.
I let you down, but it's not too late. Something like that, and I don't really understand what's going on behind that. To be honest, I haven't done enough research.
I don't know fully, but I think that he's had different like families, and there's
different baby mom, because I know he's got a daughter.
Dude,
credited on this track.
I'm pretty sure he's got like 12 kids.
Yeah,
or some shit with like half a dozen baby moms.
Yeah,
fair play.
Okay.
I'll have to double check that.
Anything else you'd like to highlight as something to avoid on a listen, Hattie?
Yeah, I'm just trying to look through. I mean, I've touched upon a few of the stuff. I mean, again, it all comes back to kind of, you know, Swizz Beatz trying to put something together with little, you know, having to do a lot with a little and not necessarily like reaching it. I don't necessarily have problems with DMX's performance himself. Some production issues. I mean, I mentioned it earlier, but I was let down with the Jay-Z and Nas track because again, that's a feature combo that you're going to be like, what the fuck? But that song, the production of that song sounded fucking horrible. I don't know if you guys heard, but the mixing, it just sounded like they were rapping over like a YouTube like beat rip. It was just, in terms of quality of the track, it just didn't fit.
That would be where I'd go to with my like criticism as well, because it was such a hyped up track. Like I saw headlines everywhere about how you know, DMX has got Jay-Z and Nas to get back together on a track again and all this sort of stuff. And like, I thought Nas was okay. I thought Jay-Z was weak, but Jay-Z's like been weak.
Nas was better than Jay in
for
terms
some
of
years now, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you can't have a track with those features, and it has to be the best track on the album.
Yeah,
the rule, it can't be one of the forgettable tracks. It has to be the best track, and it just didn't hit.
I agree. And it also like That's My Dog was classic DMX. Dogs Out, like you're saying, starts with Lil Wayne in his like in his prime mode.
Oh, you mean Dogs Out?
Yeah. So like the sandwiching of bath salts in between those two tracks that are that are strong features of the artists that are on them, made it even more like obvious how weak. To me, I think DMX and Nas were okay. If it was just a DMX and Nas track and they had an extra verse from one of them, it could have been a better track. It was literally, it might be like Jay-Z brought his B game for some reason. And like this is we were talking about it a few weeks ago, maybe with the Kanye thing or something. But someone heard a feature and went and rewrote their verse or something like that. I feel like this could have been good if someone had played Jay-Z the final version and he'd realized, he was like, oh shit, I need to up my game, and gone and rewritten his verse, because like there was good stuff in there.
Yeah,
there were good bones to build on, but it was lacking. If it, like
that could be my summary sentence for the whole album, to be honest.
Good bones to build on.
I could, I mean, I'm trying to think. I made it. I made a note. This would be my description of the album, right? It's like someone gave a child a lot of money, said go to the shop, buy some ingredients, and then cook a dish. But no one's taught that kid how to cook. he just buys like chocolate bars, paprika, pasta. He's just shoving that shit in a bowl, and then the end result is something you're not going to eat again.
I would say like the chocolate's a bit left field, but the rest of it sounds dank. But I would say you reminded me.
I should have chosen some more disparate ingredients. You get my point.
Paprika pasta, classic. If you've never had, I don't know why you would have, but if you've never had chocolate bacon butties, right? Fucking try it, okay? In school, me and my mate Kino made them. We got Milka and like melted it into bacon buddies, and it was fucking amazing. I've since learned.
To take your word on that.
I've since learned that Americans do like candied bacon and stuff, right. And so I imagine it's like kind of similar to that. But it was amazing. Just
right, you thought you were being innovators, and America's had that shit for decades.
I mean, I've never seen the chocolate bacon butty come out of anybody but the kitchen me and Kino were in. You know, like, that's all I'm saying. Okay, let's start with Dennis then for some top threes, and then we'll take it to some placing on the chart.
All right, top track I would say is Hood Blues. Like I said, that Griselda, that DMX combination is sick. Would have been great to see more of that in the future, but unfortunately, we're not going to get that. Money, Money, Money. I thought DMX's verse in this was pretty hard. This, to me, like you said, was just classic DMX. This is what you expect on a DMX album.
Yeah, that beat was fire as well.
Yeah, with the organ and the strings.
Yeah,
you come off of three like hard grimy beats into that kind of quite melodic one. It was a bit of fresh air. I agree. Yeah. I didn't like the feature on that track though, Moneybagg Yo. I thought he was a bit sloppy.
Yeah, but you really have to wait until DMX's verse comes in. And again, sort of to echo what you said, Jack. Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense for Bath Salts to be where it is because you've got these hard tracks on the front. I would move Bath Salts towards the tail end. It would have given it a chance to shine there, whereas now it's just washed out by just three hard tracks around it.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. Yeah,
I mean, to me, Money, Money, Money is like a thug anthem.
Maybe it's one of those things where it's like just to grab attention, people that might only put a few tracks on and be like, "Oh shit, is that Jay-Z?" You know, and then I don't know.
Unfortunate choice because they might turn off.
Yeah. Have the opposite effect.
Yeah, and actually, after having said all that, my number 3 is bath salts because
What?
I thought Nas.
That kept quiet. That kept quiet for a long time.
Nas, I think that sound like you said, this is like going back to that old sound. Yeah, it sounded like Nas on form on the track, so I really enjoyed it.
No, in no hell is this the best Nas track on this album. That's really all I'm saying.
They like, to be fair, the public agrees with you. I assume that Bath Salts is a single because it has 2 million plays. And the next closest is Hood Blues with 1 million plays. I can only assume that it's only got 2 million plays because it's a single. And the features. But like, I can't imagine there's much repeat listening for this. The numbers for this album as a whole are like fairly low, to be fair. I can see a lot of people kind of in similar positions to us, where like we've listened to it. We might pick out a track or two, but I doubt we'll be fully coming back.
Well, you got enough YouTube views.
Spotify.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't think DMX ever had a huge following. I mean, he's always been
what? No, man.
Go ahead.
I'm pretty sure he had like multiple albums go like number 1 back in the day. Dude was huge.
I feel like you'd expect this album to be big as well because like all the features and because of the hype and because he's not going to release anymore. That's always like a drive for people to get into an artist.
Yeah, dude, Dennis. Okay, yeah, I'm going to hit you with a stat. So he was the first artist to debut an album at number 1 5 times in a row on the Billboard 200.
Oh wow!
First artist.
Wow,
that is fucking wild to hear.
It's insane, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
So for me, that run was a bit before my time in terms of it happening. So I don't have the context, but it's crazy the amount he sold.
Yeah,
popularity he
had.
What
around what period was this then?
Well, if we're going by those albums, that's 98 to 2003.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, it's kind of before we started listening to rap, and because I remember him from X-Gon, Give It To You, Where the Hood At, that type of era, and then there's just a lull for a while, and then he came back on the Touch It remix. He did a verse with Busta Rhymes on the Touch It remix. That was huge at the time, but in recent years I haven't heard a lot of hype around DMX albums.
Yeah. Cool. Dennis. Sorry, Hattie. What's your top 3?
Top 3. My top 3 are all actually boxed together. So it's a free track in a row one. So I got Hood Blues. Again, perfect match with him and Griselda. Ad-libs for days. Killed it. Take Control with Snoop. I love that track. I hadn't already mentioned it, but that Marvin Gaye sample was incredible.
It was
perfect.
Yeah.
And like I said, Snoop sounded so fresh, like 20 years younger on this track. And then Walking in the Rain. Again, Dennis, you crazy. That was probably the track of the album. Loved the beat. Loved the bars. Nas killed it, and it had that self-reflection that you want without it being cheesy, like that fucking Skyscrapers bullshit.
Anyway. Skyscrapers was super flat. It also like it tried too hard to be deep in the hook. Where, I hate it when it reminded me of when Eminem went like pop with stuff, and like all of his choruses were like ironically uplifting sentences that just kind of got strung together and didn't mean anything.
Right. I'm not afraid. That kind of shit.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. I don't have much beef for that. I think I'm gonna jump on my top 3. I had an honorable mention that I'm gonna bump up because Hood Blues, I would agree, is up there, but I feel like we've not. I feel like we can all agree to be on a level about that. My top track, regardless, was Walking in the Rain. Was it Dennis that didn't like this?
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are insane to put bath salts in and not have Walking in the Rain.
Damn.
I don't know who smoked more crack, DMX or you, dude.
No, Walking in the Rain was fire. It's just, it was fantastic. Nas, like, killing it. Making up for bath salts earlier in the album, all by himself. I've put Letter to Me, Son. I don't know why. Got it. Gone Midlands there.
You got affected by that one.
Yeah, because but until that point, I was like, it's a different album than I was expecting from DMX, but I can still see the DMX in it. And then I was like, oh shit, this is like that. This is like a proper artist album beginning here. And then I didn't realize that was the end of the album because I listened blind. I was like, oh shit, there's a second half where he's like reflective and introspective and stuff. But no, it was just that track. But yeah, I liked it. It was good. And Take Control, because Snoop, like old Snoop, that's just my jam. It's always going to be. And he killed it. It's always good to see.
Yeah, there's one line, which is jokes. I put my dick on your back. See, ain't no sleeping on me.
Yeah.
Well, that's Snoop or...
Yeah,
Snoop,
Snoop, yeah.
Because that took me back to Doggy Dog World. He's got this sick line on there, which is like, I treat a bitch like 7-Up. Never have, never will.
Never will. Yeah.
That's the pimp Snoop.
Yeah,
okay.
That was a cool track.
Right, get your salt ready. It's time to score it.
All right.
I'm going to go Dennis first.
This shit was fire, son. Nah, I'm joking. I would put this on Backpat. It sounds like a posthumous album, although it shouldn't sound like a posthumous album. There are some tracks, like you said, that are going to go into, this. I'm going to definitely come back to this. My top 3, I really liked, Money, Money, Money. That is a track. I think that is a solid track. Hood Blues, man, that is a solid track. And I'll have to come back to Walking in the Rain since my sanity has been brought into question. So, yeah.
Put down the pipe.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, there are some tracks on here, but it does fall short in other areas.
I'm just surprised you didn't come in with a mind blown and talk yourself down to a trash. That's a newbie.
Trying to make a change. So.
What are you saying, Hardy?
I could probably walk away with this that, I might only listen again to my top 3, maybe 4. So for a 13-track album, that's a pretty bad average. I'm going to ribbon it. Left a lot to be desired. Not awful, but definitely it's something I'm listening again in full. And you can see that it was kind of, put together without, having DMX present the whole way, unfortunately.
Yeah. I was kind of torn between the two, but then coming back now and having a look at what's in Backpat, I don't think this is as good as J. Cole. But it's got similar sort of problems. But I do think it's better than everything else in Ribbon. So I'm torn with the deciding vote, to be honest.
Dennis, where did you put J. Cole again? Do you remember?
I think I put it in Fire.
Okay.
I think this is better than Slow Tie. I'll just say that. I think it's better than Slow Tie. Yeah.
Nah.
Better than Scary Hours, in my opinion.
I think it's better than Scary Hours, but Scary Hours is an EP, and I was always bad on it, so.
But not as good as Gojira, not as good as Greta Van Fleet. But
it's tough. It's tough because when it's good, it's good, but when it's bad, it's. I think.
How many tracks are you walking away and playing again?
But like that's for me that doesn't like factor in because the amount of time that I get to listen to music is so minimal that I basically never come back to anything we do unless it's like ludicrously outstanding.
In the hypothetical ideal world,
I mean, I'm coming back to Rain. I'm coming back to Take Control. I'm coming back to Hood Blues. I'm coming back to Letter.
There you go. So you like me. You got 4 out of 13.
2 are skits. 4 out of 11 still not
Okay.
great.
All right. Still less than half.
I think it's a ribbon. I think it's the top of ribbon. But then
the mind blown of ribbon.
I think that's also partly because you guys, because I'm like the decider between you two guys, whereas often I've wanted to put stuff down and it's ended up in backpack because you guys have been deciding, and you're more like, I don't know, what's the word? Positive. No, what's the word? You're more like zealous with your ratings. You know, you've got an idea about something that's, whereas I'm more.
You're malleable.
Yeah. Flexible with it.
I mean, Dennis talks himself across 4 tiers, so I don't know. I think I'm the only person that's set in stone.
No, I think Dennis has a very clear idea of what Dennis thinks, and then Dennis comes into the episode, and me and you tell Dennis what Dennis thinks for long enough until he starts to think it.
I take in feedback. It's a good thing.
Okay. I don't hate it in ribbon. I don't like it in ribbon, but I don't hate it in ribbon. I think with the cold hard facts of how many tracks I would pick out to go on a playlist, and like not feel like I wanted to skip anyone's verse, it probably is around there. I just want to do my own list. I'm looking at it now. I need to stop because I'd change everything. Near enough.
This is the problem with democracy, you see.
Yeah, democracy sucks.
Everyone's moderately unhappy, and that's how society works.
Okay, I think that's it for us. Before I make us redo 15 different album reviews. So yeah, if you liked it, give us a like, give us a subscription to hear more. We'll be back next week with a different album to review. If you hated it, let us know in the comments. Let us know what we can change. Let us know whether you think we give this wrong. Is this a trash album? Is this the greatest album of all time? Let us know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that good shit. Find us on Twitter at... Was it?
TRP_pod. Yeah.
TRP_pod. All right. Other than that, we'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.